I have an app called
There
Riddle.
we go. How about that? Is
Hey,
that
can you
better?
hear us? Oh,
It's probably really loud.
Ouch.
uh-oh.
Do we have to start over?
No, we shouldn't have to.
Can
No.
you?
Like, do we have to like start over with the whole "Where's the
Yes,
Patrick"?
she
'Cause-
can hear us. Oh,
Don't
right.
know what happened.
I didn't even get to use my app here.
Goodness, we were going to test out new things.
I was going to be like, can you hear us? This app's amazing. You can keep score with it.
Really? Yeah. So it
Yeah,
says,
I
"Can you
know.
score
This
us?"
is,
as well as "Can you hear us?"
All right, everybody getting text saying we can hear you now.
All right, that's great. I don't know what happened, and that's on me, guys. I do apologize, but let's bring this back, okay? Welcome to Beyond the Sermon. We really appreciate you being here and joining us today. As you can see, we have Ken joining us, and we have Josh joining us, sitting in Patrick Wood's seat. Shouldn't be too hard to fill, so
Well, we got Ken the Hammer here tonight. We'd
Ken
to
the
welcome all you
Hammer,
folks tonight.
coming
We
straight
are
from
feeling
swim
it.
practice.
why are you wearing a headband? I'm just curious.
Well, first of all, we're going to back up,
Okay.
cover what we already covered so everybody can hear it. The reason I'm here tonight is because Patrick is
Gallivanting
on
down
the
south.
way.
He is heading down to Texas.
Yeah.
Is he eating good
Yes.
barbecue and staying in bad places, or is he?
Well, from what
Staying
I
in bad
hear
places,
from
eating
some of the
bad
posts that
barbecue.
they posted on Facebook, it was a questionable hotel that they were in, and
Motel 3.
it looked like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a little discount.
it looked like the half brother of Motel 6.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, man.
Was this
So-
because he was telling the story on the last one about how people used to knock on his door? You know, those kinds of people.
If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen to him. He has some interesting things that happen. And all.
So he's in Texas.
I'm thinking.
On his way to Dallas to
I think I'm going to donate him some motel points or something.
Please.
conference. Yeah, Fairfield Inn. That's
Yeah.
the way to go.
It is. It is.
Is-
Yep. He's down in Texas. He's having fun. He's not going to be here for the next couple months. I mean, months. Next
Months,
couple weeks. Excuse me.
Pastor, sorry.
Yeah, he's not going to be here for the next couple weeks. So Josh is going to fill in. Oh, actually, Josh won't be filling in next week, I don't think. Or will you?
I don't know. I can.
You might.
Next
I might.
week. In 3 weeks, we got
Yes, you
Avery
wanna-
back
Yep.
and a special guest with her.
Yeah, we'll have Avery, and if
Yep.
you guys remember Avery, just to kind of get this out of the way, Avery will be. We're gonna open that mental health and talk about certain things just from a Christian standpoint, and kind of go off on that with our special guest.
Do you need a test subject or something for mental health?
Well, you're next level. I mean,
Well, disclaimer tonight. The last time I was on, I was with Avery here. We talked about, what did we talk about?
Talk about-
Anxiety,
yeah.
right? I was in the process of being evaluated with Genesis counseling. And since then, I've been diagnosed with ADHD and with generalized anxiety
hey,
disorder.
welcome to
Can
the
you believe that?
ADHD.
Here we go.
crew.
And
Someone with anxiety
so-
disorder next to me. Can you imagine?
gosh, you
It's
guys.
like a
no
train
wonder
wreck.
you drive me crazy. No.
All right.
But I will say that I started new meds on Monday. So yeah, one of my goals is to normalize it, just talk about
Yeah.
mental health stuff. This is the 5th day I've been on it, and every day I'm keeping a log. Every day has been different. This afternoon I was buzzed pretty much.
Are you focused?
No.
Oh, okay.
It hasn't helped me focus
I
a
thought that
single
meds
bit.
was supposed to help you that.
Tuesday, I was just dragging all day. Just so tired. Wednesday night, I took Elisa out to Wharf Hill to eat. Eliana was with Trish in Norfolk. And I was so high as a kite. Just on this medicine, man. I'm like, at Wharf Hill, I literally felt like standing on the table and singing. Like,
This is going to be an
I feel
interesting
like-
night.
I feel like I could run like 5 miles. And she's like, all right, as soon as we're done here, we're going to go for a walk. So we went to Windsor Castle, took a little walk and stuff. And she started running, and I ran. That kind of settled me down a little bit. I found out the next day, during dinner, Elisa's like texting Mama, like, I've never seen Daddy like this. Like, what do I do? So they were like, take it for a walk, get this energy out. So tonight, I'm not quite that buzzed. I felt like I accidentally took speed the other night.
I think I'm going to load up
But-
some sugar so I can match him.
All right.
Well, you got energy,
Ken does have energy.
and you
so-
need energy when you go to camp, which is what we're going to talk about tonight.
That's true. I was going to roll into that because we're going to keep flowing here. So,
Yeah.
so we know, Josh, you have done camp. Like, how many? Let's start here. How many camps have you actually done as like taking the kids?
All right, I've been here since 2020.
No. I
Didn't
want you to go. I want you to go far back as
Oh.
your whole career.
No.
No.
No, I was a camper until I was 16. Then I got asked not to come back. We'll get, we'll get there in a minute.
Oh,
No, I hadn't take kids. Did I? No. I volunteered at the camp painting. but
Okay,
I
so
didn't
all
take
right.
any kids
She didn't take
till I
them
got
until I got here, and you've done how
And,
many now?
3 centrifuge, so
Okay.
that's for youth.
Yep.
This was my first year doing centrikid.
How did that go though?
Which one?
The center kid, because it was first
A
time.
centrikid. Do I really have to bear all right
Yeah,
now?
not yet. We'll get into that.
I was still in youth mode because
Okay.
we just did a week of centrifuge, and centrifuge is easy. Like everybody got their money on the way. You stop at Cruise Station halfway there. Well, I don't know where we stopped actually. Chick-fil-A. They can all order their own stuff. You get to Fuge. They're kind of just
it's all on the program.
yeah.
They're done. They're gone.
I wasn't prepared for kids camp. So I was still in that mode. I'd be like, we're going to worship. Wear your shoes, bro. Like, like, come on. Like, and it was hilarious because we had we had our intern, Aiden, with us. And then we had 2 moms go.
Okay.
I think, I haven't talked with them since. They're probably like,
Are you
Josh
saying
is
they'll
a
never
nut.
volunteer again?
he's a nut. Well, it was in Lynchburg
Yeah.
at Eagle Eye Baptist Conference Center, and it was hot as blue blazes. I mean, it was 90 plus degrees. The sun was beating down. I actually wore this. I had the same shirt on. I'll get to headband, the shirt, and my Fuge cap in a second. But I had this shirt on. It had sweat all the way down here. I was burnt.
But they have a
toast.
cool pool there, though. That's fun.
Yes. You know what I forgot?
Your swimsuit.
Yes.
How do you forget that?
That's what gym clothes are for.
That's true.
I was the only one who did not go swimming.
Gotcha. So, as you can hear, tonight's going to be a little
Yep.
bit lighthearted. We're going to have some fun. We're going to really talk about the camp and some other big stuff within the church. But we're going to start this out with Josh. What is the funniest camp story you can throw our way?
I still have problems coming up with the funniest story because there are a lot.
All right,
Both
so
when
you
I was
got a
like,
lot, huh?
when I was younger.
Well, I want to know why you were kicked out of camp. So you got to get that out.
Well, first of all, you asked about the headband. This is Centrikid headband. Should we tell everybody it's kind of warm in here?
Yeah,
Oh,
we have
yeah.
no AC.
No AC in here, so
But
We're
we're here for
surviving.
you guys.
yeah.
I figured if
So-
I could stay, on a pool deck when it was 90 degrees, that I could come in here.
I just noticed you're in long sleeves.
I know. When you're out there all the time,
Yeah.
any air conditioning, you freeze. I mean, I have to have like blankets on during the summer when I sleep.
Jeez. What do y'all keep the house at?
I like it warmer. So like when Sharon was gone, over out with Ann helping Ann move, I turned it up to 75,
Oh, that's
and I was still cold.
That's all.
She came back and it's like,
So,
No comments on being old.
yeah.
But yeah, headband is in Centrikid. I have my Fuge tumbler here. It was a gift for Fuge leaders. And then this is actually from our last retreat we went on. So in talking about camps, I'll include retreats. We have a fall retreat and a spring retreat. You've been on
couple.
several of those, yeah. So this is from the last one, and it says, "Outsiders welcome."
Also, too, if you hear a little bit of like weird background noise, we do have a fan blowing on us, and I do apologize, but we kind of need that fan. So just if it gets really, really bad, let us know, and we can turn it off and get all hot. But
And I'd like to see them suffer, because
Yes.
yeah,
I
the
think they
military
want
guy
to
in me.
see us live. It's like 80 degrees in here.
yes.
So,
So, all right,
my
let's hear that
craziest
story.
The story.
Well,
Okay, so I started camping. I'm not even going to tell what camp. It was in the Midwest.
no one would know, so I want to know the name of the camp.
Well, here's the funny thing. I'm in my second year of my doctoral program. One of my colleagues, one of the first year people, works at that camp.
Is he the one that kicked you out?
No, I don't think she's old. I don't think she was alive back then. So it was 1993. So it's been a minute. I was 16 years old. I had been a camper for several years. Finally, my sophomore year, like, hey, I'm gonna serve there every week because you can You can like volunteer. They give you $5 if you if you help out. So I camped 1 week, and then I was signed up for I want to say 6 more weeks. We had an agreement. It's called the ranch hand. So now anybody who's familiar with
That one, they know exactly which club.
there's what's that? It's called fraternization.
Yeah,
Right?
fraternization, yeah.
But at 16, I was absolutely girl crazy. And so every week, I'm not saying I'm a ladies' man then or
I don't
now,
believe
but
it. I don't
something
believe
happens
it.
at camp. Something that happens.
Camp Magic.
What do they call it? Fuge.
I don't know, but I remember we had to like stop some of that. When I
think
was
it's
going.
Centric
Yeah.
Crush or something.
Yeah.
Centriboo. That's it.
Okay.
My Centriboo. Yeah. It's just something you get away from home and you fall in love with like every girl you see. We may have had a couple like that this year, but I had my eyes probably not on Jesus at camp, even though I was serving there. I would get together with girls, date whatever camp date looks like. so dumb.
Let's go
looking
get some
back
ice
at it now. You know, I shouldn't tell too much, but there was nothing too far. I'll say that. But Wayne Wilmoth was a director. Now I totally gave it out to anybody in Kansas City. All right. He came to me. He says, like, Josh, you've agreed to not date any girls, and it's been a consistent pattern. Again, I'm not Mr. Suave or anything, but yeah, I got really distracted by girls, and he asked me to not come back. I think I had 3 weeks left in the summer, and he invited me not to come back then or next year.
Just a normal, healthy teenager.
That's crazy, though. I mean, that's a little much. I look at that as, let's say you're going through a rough patch. I mean, maybe you needed to be there. I mean, I don't know. That just seems like you kicking you out. That just seems a little rough.
I don't know about that.
What? That you needed? It
Yeah.
sounded like you needed to be there, though. You needed Jesus.
I needed a jolt.
Did that help?
Yeah, it helped.
Did you go home?
Yeah.
Did you cry?
No,
You didn't.
no, but this is the craziest story. Is this already too long? I actually
No,
want
you're
to
fine.
talk to the viewers.
All right, talk
This
to 'em.
is insane. What happened out of that? There was this lifeguard that I really had a crush on, but she was dating the horse wrangler or whatever. And so
He's the cool guy.
Whatever. They ended up breaking up. So after camp, so I'm not there anymore. So I call her up and say, "Hey, you want to go to a movie?" For some reason, I had 2 high school friends go with me. So the 3 of us show up at her house, and her mom's like, "No."
No. Yeah. This ain't
So,
happening.
And that was kind of it on that. But I kept her picture for like ever. I don't still have it, just FYI. But I'm pastoring in Indianapolis, and I get a call on Sunday morning from a gal looking for a church. I've changed my name since then. My last name is actually something different than my birth name.
To protect the
So
innocent.
I'm not sure she connected that I was that boy from camp. Dude, I was in full out panic mode. I called my brother. I was like, and their names, but I was like, "Do you remember so and so? Have the hugest crush. She's coming to our church this morning." And so what was weird is she came with her husband,
Okay.
and we made it a habit of taking out new people to lunch. So we had that girl that I had a crush on so many years before in our house, and so just camp for me in previous years isn't totally Jesus centered and
Yeah.
focused, like my experience. So that's my craziest story.
So can I play on one thing you
Yeah.
said, Tim, though? Because I thought that was pretty interesting and brought up a memory that I just had shared with one of my team moms over on my swim team. And when I was coaching a team out in Ontario, California on my first duty assignment, you had income levels from like not very much money to, it's California, so you have all kinds of income strata there. And if you wouldn't behave, I'd drop you for push-ups, and then I'd drop the team for push-ups, or if it just continued, then I would tell you had to leave the pool deck. So I did that to a young boy, and then as he left, I saw him like hanging on the fence, and he had this forlorn look, and he was a good swimmer, but I could, I went over there and told him, I kicked you off at practice. You have to go today, and we'll talk about tomorrow. And then after he left, I thought about it, and I thought, I'm probably not sending him home to a great environment. And he just needed someone to actually like discipline and put that into him and structure him. And so I learned that kicking him off of the team, even if he was, even for that one practice, even if he was, not behaving, was not the right behavioral matter for me, right? Because how am I going to reach him if he's not there? And so he actually kind of like became like a pet project for mine to just, how do I change my behavior as a coach to do individualized, relationship but he's still plugged in to the team, and he became like a great team leader, right? But if I would have just said, you keep misbehaving, I don't even want you on the team anymore, then what would he have become? Who knows, right? So sometimes I don't think removing people out of this circumstance versus now you're the adult, you're the, coach, you're the whatever, disciplining them, but keep them under your watch so that way you can actually educate them on how, potentially could you have gone through a different path maybe if he would have kept you in the camp but just said, look, you got to stop that, and I'm not going to put you in that job anymore, so now how about you come be my assistant or something, so he could mentor you better. So
Right.
That's a
anyway,
good point.
Yeah.
Well,
I would say there are some cases,
just
whether
too
the
much.
ones you mentioned, I don't know, misbehaving, probably not. But I could think of some cases where it creates an unsafe environment.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I do know that, and I want to come back to this later, is camp needs to be, you got to be connected to your church and to somebody who
Mm-hmm.
takes you under the wing, whether it's an official mentor or something, but it's a good
Yeah.
point.
well, let's kind of. I'm gonna throw you a loop here because you're not gonna like this.
Uh-oh.
Because I gotta stick to beyond the sermon. You don't have to go into detail because I know you don't have anything prepared.
Okay.
But just kind of tell them what you.
Nothing.
So let's just jump over to the beyond the sermon. What should we expect to see this week, this Sunday on your sermon? Without going into that, because I know you're not fully done with it because it's Friday. But just where are we gonna be at?
Yeah, I think 3/4 of pastors don't do their sermon until Sunday.
Well, I think I know Patrick doesn't.
So it's in my mind. And like I said, I've already turned out slides for it.
Does it include standing up on the table and singing?
I know it's gonna be in Psalm.
I hope not. It's Psalm 105.
Yes.
Actually, I could outline the next 3 weeks really quickly.
Okay, that'd be
The
good.
next 2 weeks are part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Remember God because He remembers us.
Mhm.
So the first part, focus on on God. That sounds so Sunday school. Let's focus on God. But it's really, God remembers us. And the key takeaway there is that remembering is not just pulling up cognitively, like in your brain, like, oh yeah, not just reminiscing, but God remembers us. And we'll focus on some examples where He remembered His people. And remembering is bringing someone to mind and performing, using words and actions to perform on their behalf.
Okay.
So basically, Rachel is one that God remembered. Noah, God remembered. In Exodus 2, God remembered His people. It's not like, oh, they're down there, yeah. It's like, no, He actually did something for His people.
Right.
And then the remembering comes to the ultimate sacrifice of Christ, where God, He remembered us, became human, died for us. And so God remembered His people and He remembers us. Part 2, then we should remember God. And it's about testimony and calling upon the Lord's name, We'll look back at Genesis, where the people first called upon the Lord, see what that's all about. And then week 3 is really, really intriguing. It's on memory loss and spirituality.
What week's gonna bring the fire and brimstone?
I don't.
Oh.
I'm not fire.
You're not fire and brimstone.
You see me preach, right?
It's funny. I'm gonna tell a little story about Patrick here. Okay, so it's
So-
always. Go ahead.
I'll come back to the.
Just real quick, because it's always funny that I always get on him that he preaches. If you've ever noticed, because I said in both services, he preaches the same services, but his delivery are too different. He tones it down, but he blames it on it's too early in the morning for him, so he tones it down. But he always brings the fire and brimstones to the traditional service. Yes.
Yeah. I really don't know what he uses as far as notes and stuff. I write out every word, but both 8:30 and 11 are different.
Okay.
Does he emphasize certain things?
It's your crowd. It's different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you interact with them.
Yeah, it's different. So the July 30th is on what happens if you forget God. Not just generally, like what if you have brain injury, memory loss,
Okay.
dementia, and you physically cannot remember. You're missing a function in your brain where you can't remember God. And I was fascinated by the story of a youth pastor who, and I don't want to give away too much of it, but he was in this accident.
Well, forget about it.
And then, you see what he did there? No, he was in this accident, and then he went to the hospital. They checked everything out. He was fine. Sent him home the next morning. He couldn't remember anything. Not just memories. He couldn't actually dress. He was a strange woman beside me. Yeah. So his wife, he had to learn everything. Okay, don't touch fire, stuff like that. Well, he had forgotten also his relationship with God. That he had gone to seminary, that he was actually a youth pastor in a church. So all of that was gone. So what happens then?
That's a good question. I'm really
Yeah.
intrigued.
What?
Do you still get to go to heaven?
Right. So Tricia works at Magnolia Manor,
Okay.
and she is a recreation aide for assisted living and for memory care, and she works on a daily basis with those who don't remember their family. They don't remember that this isn't their house, or there's just a lot of situations where they can't remember. And then you have some, even in our church, that are in initial stages of that. And I don't know if they recognize that, but others can recognize it. And so it's like, what happens when you physically cannot remember God?
Yeah, and
And-
likely that's going to get worse over time because, medicine and our food and whatever is making our lives, last longer.
Yeah.
But also because, in the old days, if your family didn't take care of you, right, you probably passed earlier just because of that, right? Now you go into an assisted living and we could keep you going for 20 more years potentially, but cognitively, what's there?
I'm gonna stay on this for a second because
Yeah.
this is good. Where do you think the church's responsibility comes in on this?
Well, that's one thing I love because Tricia can't really share information about people there, but I do know that we have a lot of people at Smithfield Baptist who go there and visit regularly, even people that aren't related to them.
Magnolia, is that the one right
Yep.
there?
I don't know where. I
Yeah,
always
right next
get
door.
Well, you know
turned
what,
around
the
and-
one right down the street.
Yeah.
Well, just to let you know, and I don't know if any of y'all knew this, but our praise band just went there, and they just did a whole set over there, and apparently it went really, really well. So yeah, and I know, one comes to mind, and man, she's awesome. Is Carla? She's constantly going out and seeing people. So I think Smithfield Baptist is great on getting out there and visiting those shut-ins. That's
Yeah.
what I.
Yeah. So, can I sneak peek? Isaiah 49 says that we're engraved on the palm of his hands. So even if we can't remember,
He does.
remembers us.
Yeah.
Which
he
is
does.
kind of the setup of weeks 1 and 2. God remembers us, even if we can't remember. Romans 8 talks about the Spirit in a way that goes beyond words. That our relationship with God is deeper than any cognitive function. There's some, I'm
It
not going to use
surpasses
this
that.
word, there's some existential connection.
Gotcha.
Um,
Well, without you going in there, I just want to know yes or no. You know the answer to the question, right? Of will you still go to heaven, right? You know the answer. That's what you're going to be preaching on the 30th, or that week.
yeah.
Okay, good. Because I'm excited about that, but I don't want you to go into it and ruin anything. Because I could really,
Okay.
I'd love for you to dive into it now, but no, that would be great. But
Yeah, it's beyond the sermon, not before the sermon.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
So
Well, so I won't be on here that week. So you'll have to tune in for the sermon because that'll be the Avery week.
so you're.
So you won't get to unpack this
So
any further.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll
unless, yeah.
we'll figure it out.
And maybe we should do like a special one right after, just like a 20-minute.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But
Second
so-
Forgetting is a
Q&A,
book that
yeah.
you can read if you're readers.
All right, so I got a little something. Why would you even do this? Where would you want to start with mission? I mean, let's go summer camps and other big stuff. That's the typical summer of student ministry. If you're involved in Next Gen Ministries, I'm sure you're exhausted from the few weeks and you probably still have more to go. Therefore, I thought I would mention 5 reasons why you do the big trips, specifically camp. May these be a great reminder as to why we're doing what we do.
Sounded just like you read off this page, which you did.
Oh,
It
we
is.
did.
So,
But
so
no.
this paper that all of us have is actually put out by Rich Brown. He is on the other side of the state. He's in Lynchburg, and he has been in youth ministry a really long time. Heads up an organization called Next Gen Matters, and so he wrote this article on why would you be crazy enough to go to camp because it's exhausting. I did Fuge,
We appreciate it.
and then this is
Somebody's being appreciated.
You gotta go about your business over there.
Sorry. It's William. He was calling in. He wanted to tell us we're doing a great job, and he just wanted to interject that he's watching and he's excited about what we're going to bring. So
All right,
now that he
Thanks,
messed my
brother.
flow up, let me get back. All right. Bye.
that's cool.
Bye.
All right.
All right, messed my flow up. All right, where were
Yeah.
we?
So camp takes a lot. It takes a huge part of the church budget because we do want to invest in our teens going, and I'm going to focus on youth. Our kids go to camp too, but there's a lot of budget that goes into this. There are people necessary. We took 4 chaperones to Fuge. I'm away for days. I think there were 17 days there where I slept in my own bed twice. And so camp is a huge undertaking. And just to be honest, I was scheduled to go to another camp leaving Monday morning, but there's some stuff here at the church that has to be done. And so the team's going on with that. Maybe got 14 people going to MC2 in Lynchburg. But I had 3 camps scheduled for this summer, and it's exhausting. So Rich knows that, and he's like, why would you be crazy enough to do this?
And I'm reading over this right now. These are some really, really good things. And let's just start number 1, to give students a change from the same old, same old. I'm going to put that in Ken's.
So I would say, though, it might be exhausting because, you're literally like rolling from one to the other. And because you're the leader of our youth and children, you're kind of that central focal point. So you have to go, if you will. I would just say it that way, right? But for those that are just going to the camp and or the parent chaperones, I've always found it to be extremely invigorating, frankly. I mean, it's long days. You don't get a lot of sleep sometimes, especially if you're, in the room with the boys. You got to keep go to sleep, and you know how boys are. But I do think it's extremely invigorating, and I think it bolsters your spirit. I think it gets you closer connected. I'll share one. I'll come back to a funny story later, but a sad story for me one time was that because I coach swimming, we've always gone to centrifuge during the swim season, and so for a couple years, I made allowance, and I had my other coaches take over, and then I went. And then one year, I decided not to go. I decided to just continue coaching through the summer, and it was a year that one of our youth. Are we allowed to use youth names if they're adults now? Okay, I won't mention. Anyway, I'll just say that he's currently a Navy diver.
There you go.
Okay,
Gotcha.
so he's a Navy diver. Give a shout out. But he specifically asked me to go to Fuge that year, and I said I can't do it. And I have thought about that decision every year since then. That it was the wrong decision for me. When a youth asks you to go and be part of it, and people know. I mean, I may not be the old man, but I get out there and I do all of the activities, and I don't let things get in the way.
Awesome goalie.
And,
awesome goalie, by the way. He's a great goalie when it comes to soccer.
All right,
And he does get with it in camp, and so that's why he's great to have along with the
So I would say that if you ever, and I don't care your age, I don't care if you're 21 or if you're 71, and you're asked by the youth or the children or the next gen pastor to participate and help with the youth, get out there and do it, because it is invigorating. It's invigorating to your soul that you're helping the next group, our future, grow.
That's really good perspective. Because for me, you're worried about registration, you're working
Administration,
with the
paperwork,
finance
yeah.
secretary to make sure everything
Yep.
is paid, following up with parents, hey, your deposit. There are so many details that go into planning for it, and then when you're there, you're responsible for making sure everybody's safe, everybody's accounted for.
One other tag onto that too.
Yeah.
This church, if there has been a youth or child that's wanted to go to camp and they have not been able to financially do it, this church has never let that person not go.
Well,
We
I know
have always found a way to pay. And we've done fundraisers. We've had people that just literally will stroke a check because they think it's so. Even those that are not going on the trip, they support this mission.
So, Ken, let me ask you, what do you, because you mentioned that you regretted not going to that one camp, so it leads me to believe, what do you either always hope to get out of going to camp for you?
For me?
Yeah, what do you hope to maybe, are you there just to be a mentor? Are you there to lead somebody to Christ, which I know that's always very important, but as an individual, what is one of the reasons that you continue to want to go?
Yeah, I think I want our next generation of people to look at the older generation and realize that we love them. That's what I really want. I mean, it's, a lot of people say, something about you or whatever, but I mean, I coach for free for swimming. I mean, I don't need the money. I mean, God's graced me. I do this because I think that we have to be leaders in our community, and if you've got gifts and abilities, you should be putting those to use. I'm not the greatest theologian. I'm just not. I mean, people catch me in my mistakes sometimes, but when our youth look up to us, I want them to see, hey, that old man cared. He cared to be there. He cared to participate. He sacrificed for us, right? And isn't that a model? And again, I have tons of imperfections, so I'm not saying that I'm a model, but I'm just saying that's what I get out. I get out of the satisfaction that they look to the older folks in the church and realize that we love them and care for them.
That's good, because I think at least when I was growing up, that so often the older generation could just get annoyed by
absolutely,
by the younger people. I mean, I've seen it. I've probably been on the other end of it, being the one that's annoying it. So you're right.
One of my favorite sayings is, be the person you wish you had when you were younger. And think of me, 16-year-old boy, just hormones raging and stuff. I didn't go with a church group, which I think is key, actually going with a church group. I was there on my own, away from home, away from parents, away from any influence of people that knew me. So I could reinvent myself.
Yeah.
I wish I had somebody like Ken or an older adult either grab me by the shirt or lovingly guide me. I remember this one kid named Nick. He was there, and his youth pastor was there, and I was like, well, I didn't treat him too nicely, but I'm like, why? You must be the favorite or whatever. But looking back, I'm like, he had somebody like
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That guy's name was Shane, but it's amazing to have people like Ken and or the chaperones.
Christy Campbell said she agreed on everything you just
Yeah.
said. She's out there. Well, she's watching right
And
now.
it, you know,
Everything.
everything. Yeah. All right, Christy. So this will be a shout out to you too, because when we went to the Camp P, but it's like this even
Camp
if you.
Piankatank. That
Yeah,
sounds horrible.
I wasn't sure if I could pronounce it, so I was like, save.
That's what happens when the kids go in the pool.
Yeah, stick save. But you know,
Yeah.
and I felt this when I went to Fuge too, because I don't sleep much, and so being like the first person to be in to get the coffee and then sit out and watch the sunrises and those kinds of things, it's really bolsters your spirit, but it's also really fun when you're hanging out with youth. Sometimes it's like I'm not calling them babies, but it's like watching babies and how babies discover the world, right? But it's fun when they go out there and they go down a trail and they're looking and they look, and they see a flower or something, or they see a fish or something, and they're like mesmerized by that. Or they go bottle hunting, right? It would be so easy not to go bottle hunting, and so I'm giving a shout out to somebody that goes bottle hunting on a go, right? And it would be easy to not go with that person. Or why not enjoy that moment? Now, I don't want it to be like the entire camp where we're all just hunting for bottles or something, but to be in the moment with that person, if that's what they enjoy, then find a way to enjoy it with them, right? And it actually is kind of fun sometimes.
You went canoeing, right?
Oh, yeah.
The Camp Piankatank
Yeah,
has
thanks.
canoes, and everybody
let me
went
get the
across
camera.
the water, went over to the island. So
Anybody
you were in the boat, you were in the canoe with them.
Yeah.
But I do have two other examples, no names, but we took a charter bus to Centrifuge this the end of June. There were senior adults in there with us.
Oh, okay.
And we have pictures of, gosh, I don't know how old this guy is. I don't want to overguess, but I think probably 80 years old, sitting in a Chick-fil-A booth with 5 other youth. And that just doesn't happen all the time.
Why were they on the charter bus?
Because it's a sweet ride.
No, I mean, so you were just part
I'm sorry.
of.
Oh my God.
It was like a critical point. I'm like going. We had like 80-year-olds from our church going on the charter. I mean,
Yeah,
No,
explain
there's
to why.
yeah, a
we-
little.
yeah, explain
There's a
that.
little gap of knowledge there.
Yeah. So we, Fuge is near Asheville, North Carolina. It's at Ridgecrest Baptist Conference, Black Mountain, North Carolina. So the church got a charter bus, and in the charter bus were all the kids, people going to camp, but also the senior adults took advantage of that and planned it in a way they could keep on going to Asheville, and they stayed.
Okay.
They stayed 1 or 2 nights at Ridgecrest, and then they went to Asheville and other places, and then came back and picked us up on the way.
And so you
So
saw
we-
good interaction there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was one morning. Now, Fuge music is loud. The worship is loud. You got 1,600 students
Wow.
in this big auditorium, and the music is off the charts. Shout out to Isaac Pittman. He'll never see this, but love the music this year. One of the senior adults actually asked if they could come with us. So
Really?
I snuck her in because you have to have a lanyard.
Did you
I've always been a rebel.
You're like a rebel without a cause.
Right on,
Did you
man.
put extra makeup on or something to get them to
No.
look like a youth, or
I
you
was
just
like-
could go into a blanket?
I was like, hey, they're going to check at the door. So get in front of me, and then the person in front of us had a backpack. Just stay really close to them. Just go in like you're supposed to be there. She loved it. I mean, just imagine 1,600 students.
That
That's
would've been
invigorating,
cool.
like you're talking about. You're
Yeah.
seeing them. We had 2 youth who, for the first time, trusted in Christ.
That's awesome.
And part of that was seeing this isn't just something their parents, because both parents follow Christ. It's not just my parents, or it's not just I go to this church. Like this is becoming real, and that's part
So
of it.
I would say whether the music was rock music or country music, Christian country music or blues or whatever, it's the worship experience of 1,600 of your friends and leaders that care about those people in that worship environment, and then how that magnifies in your soul. And I mean, literally, for those that have ever done this and gone there, I mean, there are times where, I mean, you get the tingly spirit, you know, you feel the rush on the back and all that stuff. And then, like, I always like to tell our youth when we come back from those things, and I haven't been to one in a while, but I used to always tell them, don't let all that excitement you just had dissipate because you come into church, because most of us are more of the, and I'm not a charismatic. I mean, I'm probably somewhat more charismatic than others, but we should not stop showing that enthusiasm for the Lord. And I don't think it's because it was like rock music or whatever. I mean, if you were to go out to one of the camps that had country music there, I think you'd see the same experience. I mean, look at that church revival that happened in Kentucky as an example, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think it's the type of music necessarily; it's the experience. But you know, the type of music kind of gets you that beat going, you know.
Yeah, it's an amazing experience. Seeing all these other teams, and it's real. You're hearing a sermon after music.
Mm-hmm.
It's all coming together, and you do Bible study, and it's just like, okay, I'm not on my phone. You can take your phone, but you can't have it during those program times. So all the normal distractions are gone.
All right, that was going to lead into a question I was going to ask about the phones. Is that because I assume they couldn't be there, but do you see that they're not on it less because? Okay, no, I'm saying with a smile like that.
We had to take a couple phones.
Yeah, take the phones. Okay, gotcha. We're getting there.
Yeah. Now at CentraKid,
Yeah.
you don't take your phones, which makes the bus ride a little bit harder because they can't pop in their music. But
Yeah.
the Fuge experience was amazing.
And then, and I presume that like this year after you did the big worship service and then the sermon and whatnot, you guys had small group time then after?
Yeah, church group time.
Yep.
So one of the keys I think for camp, I don't know if we're gonna get through all 5 of these. It don't matter. Sorry,
we're having
Rich.
a good conversation.
But so it's important to be connected with somebody who cares for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was a teen, I didn't have anybody at camp to guide me. Somebody that knew me. Now, when I went back on Sundays to my church, oh, Josh is so spiritual. He's been to camp. Oh, man. And until last year, like, Trish and the girls never heard that story.
Really?
Really. My girls were shocked out of this world. Like, what?
Their
Probably
dad's
'cause
a
I-
player.
Probably they think I'm ugly and could never date anybody.
That's
but,
wrong.
But that's that small group church time, I think, is really incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that was probably the most touching I ever saw, we literally played this thing where, well, it wasn't playing, but we were doing our devotion, and you passed a ball of string to each other. You know, so after I spoke, you'd pass it to someone, they spoke, you couldn't pass it right back, and so,
Yeah.
you know, kind of see what the pattern looked like. And that night became so detailed in discussion and in discovery of each other that when our small group time was over, they didn't want to stop. We literally had people that were getting overheated from lack of, I mean, there was just no way to stop it. I mean, we as church leaders were engaged in all this too, and the kids were like, okay, you want a water break? And they're like, no, we want to just keep going, kind of thing. But after we got done with that, when we came back here, because there were some hang-ups that were occurring before, now people literally were bearing their souls together with each other. And when they came back, I think that age, during that time frame, this is probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, that group, in my mind, was the closest I've ever seen since that. But, you know, so there was a transformation that occurred because of that small group time. And you know, there are people that are literally having a tough time sometimes. You know, they could be right next to you and they look all like nice and normal and happy and all that, but inside they're really being eaten up by something, and that could be something at home or it could be something that you unintentionally did, you know, to another, you know, because remember, adults are part of this, that even sometimes adults have hang-ups with other, and now, hey, if the kids are bearing their souls, look, we're gonna come clean on all this too. And it was just like a big washing of, you know, a big cleansing activity for everybody. So I thought the small group time was like really impactful.
Yeah. So just that, the chance to go as a group, which was, I missed as a team, but our group connected our group time with what's going on here. This summer we're doing a series called Summer Stories on Sunday nights with the youth, and it's focusing on testimonies. like
Okay.
what God is
You've
doing.
been doing that for a while, I thought.
We just started that.
I thought you were doing testimonies. Oh, okay.
I mean, testimonies are always good,
That is true.
right?
Yeah.
So we're doing that on Sunday nights to share what God's doing. So we kind of connected that and had that in our church group time. But yeah, those church group times are at the end of the day, end of a long day. It could be, but they're really
It's a way to
Really good.
unwind and
Yeah.
kind of just kind of unload on that. But so I got a question because we had up before the show we had a group text, we were talking, and you told me to go. I had already seen it, but you said watch A Week Away.
oh yeah.
I've seen it, so I want you. How accurate is that?
Dude, if you love High School Musical and you love camp, you'll love A Week Away.
How accurate though is it though?
It reminds me of Disney Channel
Yeah,
shows.
it does. It does.
I generally think most Christian movies are really, really cheesy without meaning to be. But this movie, if you haven't seen it,
It is
it's
like
supposed to be cheesy.
Yeah.
So it's got lots of music.
I will
Even
say.
some old school like '90s Christian music.
So I will say, the rendition of "Our God Is an Awesome God"
it's
is probably one of the best renditions
Pull it
I've.
up.
I can't pull that
Spotify.
up right now.
I will.
No,
Just play the
don't.
microphone.
No, we can't do that. But if you haven't, check out the Week Away.
A Week Away.
A Week Away, the rendition of Week Away of "Awesome God." It is great. You go to YouTube and you'll be able to find it, and it's really, really good. I do recommend to go watch the movie because it does have some decent.
You know, we
I
took.
forgot what service it's on. Netflix.
It's on Netflix. Well, it
Netflix.
was when I watched it.
You
so
watched it more than once, I'm guessing.
probably. Yeah.
we took the church group to go see God's Not Dead when it came out in the theater, and that was really fun. I mean, right? Because now you're as Christians, you know, you're getting out there, and the whole idea was, you know, let's get Smithville Baptist, church name out there a little bit, and out in public, and another good movie, and everyone sings the song, so it's pretty awesome. So
God's not
You'll get a
dead.
kick out of this. So read this. It's going to pop up.
Yeah.
So they had to get together, and that was their thing. They were going to watch that movie before they went to camp.
why do I see this as the mandatory? We're gonna have a popcorn movie night
That was
before
your
Center
assignment
Kids
before
here.
this episode.
No, I mean like for the whole Center Kid next year.
So, what did she think about Center Kid versus A Week Away? Was she
I
expecting?
had not asked her that. She should. Oh no, she'd be too like scared. But I know somebody's watching it, and she wants to call in and let us know what she thought the difference was. Mom, ask her. It's up to you, but you know the number, and you call us in if you and if she's willing to talk and tell us what she thought the difference was between Centrifuge and A Week Away. But if not,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, it brings up some good dynamics. I'm not sure it's the most realistic.
No, but it was.
It's a cute movie. It's a good movie.
Because you know those kids aren't going to sound like that. All those kids are going to sound like that around the campfire.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounded.
Wow.
So, so let's go back because I at least want to get one of these, okay? Because I know you've read these. You got 5. Actually, all right, hold on. Let me, hold on.
We have a call in.
Call in.
We have a caller.
I was gonna address number 3.
Caller on line 1.
Power off.
All right, hold on 1 second, okay?
Okay. Power on.
You should be coming live.
In 3,
Connected.
You are now connected.
We are connected. So,
1.
so I have Lila's mother on the phone. Is
Hi,
she,
Lila's mother.
Is she willing to kind of tell us the difference in Centrifuge and A Week Away?
Such a kid.
Center Kid.
Here.
We can.
Hi. What's up?
So, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
We're doing great. So, we're on the podcast and we're talking about summer camps, and we started talking about A Week Away, and then Mom decided to chime in and let us know that you and one of your friends watched A Week Away right before you went to Center Kid, and Pastor Josh was really curious on is A Week Away anything like what you experienced at Center Kid?
kind of like that because you get to like pick your activities like how they did in the movie.
All right. So
And
go.
and like it was like a normal summer camp. You had to like sleep in a cabin with your friends and stuff.
Did you get to sing around the campfire?
Did you bust out in song?
No.
You didn't bust out. You should have. You should have. That would have been kind of funny. You stood up and started singing. No, stop. That's where we're gonna get. So.
Come on, man, sing.
All right.
Come
So,
on, Lila.
question for you though. What camp would you have liked to have been at?
Like between.
Century Kid or A Week Away.
Yep, between
Or a
those
week
two.
away? What camp looked more fun? Or what camp did you have? It's hard to explain. But you know what I'm asking.
Like if you could have put yourself in the movie, or you could have been at camp, which would you rather have been at?
I would want to be in the movie.
Ooh, we have a budding actress
Okay.
coming here.
So, all right. Hey, do you have what advice would you give to any kid about your age that wants to go off to camp but gets really, really nervous? What would you tell them?
You're not really going to get homesick because you'll be so busy with stuff.
Yep, you got Pastor Josh is over here shaking his head yes, and also, okay. Well, do you have anything else you want to throw out there before we get off?
No.
What was the favorite food that you had when you were out there?
there
What
was such
what did
good
you?
food.
Well,
What was
hold
like the
on,
one meal that you were like, oh, this is so good?
This is going to be interesting because she's extremely picky. So, Lila, what was your favorite food that you had at Centerview, kid? Actually, I think I know what's going to be.
We had bacon for breakfast one time.
Bacon, spoken like a Smithfield person.
Well, that's good. So we're gonna go ahead and get off. We really appreciate you calling in and
Thank
and giving us that information. So we will talk to you later. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye. There you go.
I gotta tell you this.
All right.
She mentioned that you don't have time to be homesick.
Yeah.
It was day 2, and we were walking to the rec field, blazing hot, dude, like 90 degrees, and hills everywhere. It's on a mountain, all right? I said, hey, they don't have their phones, remember? I was like, hey, while we're walking, do you want to call your mom? No.
Hold on. Was that Mike?
I'm good.
All right.
What?
I feel like since you're talking, I need to tell you about the game of darts.
All right.
Okay. So in the game of darts, when we say there's no timeout and the game's on, because I just made eye contact with you, if I blow a dart at you, you have to lay on the ground.
Not a physical dart.
Right.
Just-
Pretend like a
okay.
pretending dart. Like I'm blowing
What?
a dart at you.
Future's different a little bit
Yeah.
now.
and then you'd have to lay on the ground until someone comes and pulls the dart out of your neck, right? And the only way, once the game is on, that you could not be hit is that you have to walk around covering up where the dart would hit you. So when we would be on, you'd see all, and remember at Fuge, kids are all in different groups, right? So when we would have the game on, you're walking in your group like this all the time. So one time, Kira had broken her ankle or sprained her ankle really bad, and so she was in the van. And so I'm driving the van everywhere with her in it, right? And I'm like, Kara, get ready. You're going to be door gunner. So there's a whole group of kids walking up towards the rec field, and you can see a couple of them. So I'm like, hey, guys, come here, come here. And Kira's in there, and she goes, and they literally are like, no one else knows.
That's funny.
And all this group, and all of a sudden they're laying down on the ground. They're like, ah. So
So it's
fast forward.
just a little game that played throughout the whole
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
So fast forward, we're coming back, and the game was on in the ride back home, and we're in vans because we didn't have the bus at the time. And so we get to Stewart's Draft, and there's a Starbucks coffee right by the gas station. So I literally get out to, they're going to all go to Starbucks. I go to pump at gas. Before we get out there, they had said the game was on. I'm pumping gas, and I look up right as one of them hits me. And I lay down right there at the gas pump. I'm like, really? You're not going to leave me here, right? And then, okay, so they came and got me. So then now the whole line is up, and I'm in Starbucks, right? And Miss Susan's with us too. And I'm about ready to buy my coffee, and I get hit again.
There's no limit on the hits.
There should be like a cool down period or something.
Yeah, no, if the game's on, and no one had said it was off, so I literally, right in the middle of the Starbucks, right as I'm about ready to pay
You're
for my
laying
coffee,
down.
I lay down, and the dude behind me is like an EMT. And he's like, everything thinks I'm like going out. And one of the kids comes and saves me so I could buy my coffee. And Miss Susan goes, you don't have to play. I said, no, I do.
Yeah, I can see that. You're one of the few that, if the kids are playing football, you're gonna find Ken playing with them.
Yeah.
And all.
Yeah.
All right. So, I wanted to pick one from there.
Number 3.
All right. Let me read it real quick.
Yeah, we already hit on number 2 to get students away from distractions of their everyday life.
All right.
Get away from.
Because number 3, I think, is going to make a nice tie to something we're going to be doing in August.
All right, Ken, take it then.
Yeah, so number 3 says to give students an opportunity to respond to what God has prepared for them. So every moment that you're with our youth group when we go on activities is a discipleship moment, I think. I mean, we gather kids before you go, right? We gather before you get on the bus. Everyone prays, right? It starts there, right? It shows that we're a praying church that continues through after. You see the interaction between the youth and adults, and I do want to give a shout out to our VBS, which is coming up in August. It's going to be fantastic. Miss Christie's leading it. She's doing a great job.
Twist and turns.
Twist and turns. I
August
can't wait to
7th
see.
through 11th.
And if you have not registered, register. If you haven't invited a friend, invite a friend, because now this is another example. This is a time when every age in our church is getting together to disciple and prepare the way for these young people that come to our church to witness, not just to hear what we're teaching them, but to witness how God is working in all of our lives, from the 5th grader that's helping, or I guess
Sixth grade.
sixth grader that's helping, all the way up until we'll have some of those older
Yeah.
senior adults helping out and doing things. To our deacons come in, you get all the young adults that are helping out. It is just amazing. VBS is amazing. I don't care if it's just our church or any church, do it. But definitely, if you want to see VBS in motion this year, come right here.
August 7th, 11th. Register at smithfieldbaptist.org. On the homepage, go halfway down the page. You're going to see a blue background. It
Hey,
says
halfway
Twist
down
and
the
Turns.
page, that's like right when you load in. You put a big
Halfway
old
down my
image
page,
on
yep.
my page.
Sorry.
And do
You have access, so you can change it. But yeah, go in there, just click on the picture, and you can register.
So, Pastor, let me throw this at you because you're an next gen pastor, right? So, isn't there like a relationship difference on how we communicate and prepare the way that God has for these kids? Different between if they just came to like Sunday and sat in the 11 o'clock service, even though I love the kickball beforehand, good introduction, but the difference between that and then the communal things of a camp or a VBS.
Yes. I think my approach, and not everybody's a fan of how much we play, but my approach is, especially with our elementary kids, is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
For that, I would include youth group on Sunday nights because we play a lot. That allows social time where it's not just sitting passively, and I'm not going to get too far here. I used to be a senior pastor, and my ideas aren't any different then. But things like camp allow people to see, oh, Ken's actually a real guy. It's not just somebody I see across the sanctuary just
Yeah, a real guy
Sitting
that dresses up in a coat and
See-
tie and
yeah.
still plays
Yeah.
plays kickball. It's like the clothes can be washed. I mean,
it
come
allows
on.
you to go, hey, actually, William and Christy, I still owe Thornton an ice cream cone. But it allows you.
Ooh, that's a disclosure on all over the
I'm just thinking,
YouTube.
you get the snack shop at camp.
Yeah.
It allows you a chance to just go hang out, and it's not just me teaching. It's not just somebody up there talking. It's you're talking, you're interacting. It puts Jesus into reality, like into lived life. Like, oh, okay, it's not just I'm going to church because my parents are bringing me, and then I just got to sit there. It's like, oh, these are real people, other people my age. William says you better pay up. He actually gave up the bottom bunk for me, so that's why.
Oh, nice.
Cause like, no, man,
Would you give me an ice cream if we were like bunk mates and if I gave up the bottom bunk? Or is that only for kids?
So camp allows you to live real life. When you're going to Chick-fil-A and you get to sit and hang out, to almost every part of camp is you are just doing real things. In a lot of ways, 21st century church is a real thing. I probably already said too much there. But it allows you to do stuff together and to talk, real talk too.
Is camp a good place to bring somebody that may be a new Christian or may not be a new Christian, but just is experiencing church and God as from a point of view as being new? Is camp a good place for that person to go, or is camp usually something that you'd want to send a seasoned Christian or somebody that's been going to church? I mean, is there, you see what I'm asking?
I do.
Okay.
I have so many thoughts going on in my mind. If I'm just saying, if it's a new Christian, I at least want to meet them and know them before taking them 8 hours away.
Well, yeah,
But I see what you mean.
okay.
But like a
It's for-
VBS or a local thing, right? Either way, if you didn't take them to camp, because there's a lot of people that meet God at camp, right? I mean, you have a lot of people that come saved.
Yeah, it's a good camp for anybody. Now, just to be honest, I do tell our youth about Fuge. It's like, this is not for everybody. It's on a mountain. You walk friggin' forever, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, dude! I did 18,000 steps one day, and there's not a level place there. When you walk to dinner, you're walking up. There are no downhills there. It's all uphill. And so it's a recreation camp where you're going to be playing, and so it's not for everybody. It can be, that particular camp can be too loud for some people, be too overwhelming for them. So I just tell them straight up, hey, this is what's going to happen. And even the people that I was concerned about this summer responded well. And
Yeah, you know,
that's for people who I'm not sure where they are with Jesus, to people who have been believers for a long time.
right.
Now, sadly, I have seen, I want to be honest and just not say camp is like the greatest thing for like everybody. I've actually seen a couple of people previous years where camp kind of did the opposite for them.
You know, it would be, and I was going to go down that path. It would be interesting to see, like in those circumstances where we know that front loaded, that we still take them to camp, but maybe bring a couple extra adults and then break off and have like a mini camp within the camp, because some people get sensory overload, or they might have ADHD, or, you know, I can think of, you know, some kids that might be deaf and or partially deaf, and so they can't interact in the same way, but they would interact fine if they had a little smaller group and then just came together at certain times.
Yeah, generally, church camps aren't inclusive. They don't. It's just loud and a lot of flashing lights. There's nobody doing ASL or anything. So I do wish overall in the U.S. that camps would start to look at that. Skycroft in Maryland, they have a ministry, a disability camp, and there are other places to go, but
I wouldn't. I mean, I'd rather see them be inclusive.
Yeah.
Like go with you, but then you know, instead of saying, "Oh, you have to go to this special camp or whatever," right? I mean, we're trying to integrate everybody, but bring extra adults with you so that way you can have a little bit of quality time.
Is Jen watching?
Probably not, but she may hit
They're
the
on the
recording.
road.
Yeah, they're on the road.
This
Yeah,
was
well,
amazing.
depends on what hotel they're in. They might not have any internet.
That's true.
This is an amazing story. May have been the coolest story from Centric Kid. So,
All right.
kids camp. Eagle Eyrie has an auditorium. It's not 1,600, probably 300 people. But it's loud, especially with elementary kids who have not gone through puberty yet, and all of their yelling and screaming, it's not really high pitched.
Yes.
And so there is one kid sitting in the row in front of us with a different church who had his ears covered like the entire time. The lady with that church, one of the ladies with that church, the chaperones, just got frustrated with him.
Oh, jeez.
Right? And I'm like, it's too loud for. I mean, you know, he's in pain. So Jen actually talked with this lady and said his ears literally hurt. It's too loud. And so there's probably like 6 feet away, there's an outside door. So they propped that door open and let him just sit outside the door. And he participated in everything.
Really?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It's probably life-changing for that guy. He's like
See,
10 or 11 years old. It was amazing.
And I'm going to go into the end of the month when we have Avery and our special guest on. That's the kind of stuff that we as Christians need to start looking at, because again, it goes back all too often. We've seen it to where, oh, something's wrong with this kid. He just don't worry about him. Something we're not gonna, and all. But something as simple as them just opening the door,
Yeah.
6 feet away, and he's out there, he's dancing, having a good old time. That's inspiring. I like the sound
Yeah,
of that.
But we know it's tough though, because we know on Sunday night, as an example, sometimes we have challenges because you and I are kind of competitive, a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit.
I'm not as bad as you are.
Well, hey.
Am I?
I think
You play dodgeball
Yeah,
with us.
I think you may be more competitive
That's
than
what we
me.
need to do. So now that we may be moving this to Friday, we need to set up another dodgeball versus the kids.
Yeah, look at
what
this,
happened
a
last time?
Well, Ty wasn't with the youth last time.
Well,
That's
we don't-
why they lost.
We don't need to. I
Oh,
still
he
think
was-
we'd be
yeah,
all
it's
right.
details.
No, I still
Details.
think we'd
He
be
would
all right.
smoke all of us.
No, I still think we'd
But
be all
on
right.
Sunday nights,
But we
have
know
some
that because
different
there's
personality types.
different personality types, and so we're like when we're in the game and someone's like hogging the ball or not playing by the rules or whatever, that becomes frustrating for them. But it's also frustrating for the 40 other people that are trying to do this, and even I think as all the adults are there, we probably got to recognize that, because I remember one of the games that we played, literally one of them went and sat down, and then somebody else went, but it was two youth that comforted each other, if you will, because they felt like they weren't being able to participate, but in reality, they knew what they were doing, I think, but it's just their personality type, and it's tough because we want to have a game that's for everybody and inclusive, but sometimes we got to figure out, okay,
yeah.
how do we go and adjust that, or allow a different game that goes on at the
Yes.
same time.
Yeah, so we played volleyball last Sunday night. It's not for everybody, but we have up on the stage, we've got air hockey.
So if you
pool,
don't want
and
to
ping pong
play,
table.
you
yeah.
can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't force anybody to do that because not everybody's
wants
into
to, yeah.
sports at all. So it's a great place where people are involved, and in working with youth, whether it's camp or here, you gotta know that there might be some behaviors that aren't like, oh, they hate Jesus, so they're doing that. Here's another story from Centric Kid again, just to illustrate that point. It might be something in the environment. One of the girls was just hating her time, particularly the Bible study time. She's really into Jesus. She loves Sunday school. She loves kids worship. She's always involved, but she did not want to go. Come to find out that there were some younger boys in there who were just picking their nose and just eating it right in front of everybody. And then the leaders wanted all the kids to hold hands.
Yeah.
Would you?
No.
You'd be like, no. So it wasn't even her spirituality or the fact that it was a response against the Bible or Jesus or the idea of Bible study. It was because those boys had just
Circumstance.
got snot all over their hands.
Yeah,
and
that is a little gross.
so
Did you ask him what
So-
flavor it was?
salty. So camp is a great way for all personality types, all ages, no matter what, where they are on their journey with Jesus, to go and explore. Some of it might be their, like we had one youth. They'd been coming, I think, maybe 6 weeks. And they went to camp, so it's like that was like a real gelling point
Okay.
for that youth
Yeah.
to know people and to hear the gospel
Yeah.
really clearly and see it's all these other kids, all these youth worshiping
Yeah,
Jesus.
Ann used to go with Surrey Baptist. I don't know if it's Surrey Baptist, but it's the Baptist church in
Bacon's Castle?
Surrey. No, in Surrey itself. Her her piano teacher's husband was the pastor there, and so it's called the Wilds, and so it's really kind of a cool. You probably know about it, but one of the things when I like research the Wilds, they do adults too, and sometimes I wonder why we don't do adult camps too, or at least like maybe simultaneously, like when the kids go somewhere, that the adults aren't doing that as well, because it is a much different experience when you're away from like, okay, well, I'm gonna show up at my house, I'm gonna go back to my house, I'm gonna drink coffee in my house. No, you're totally immersed in the environment, for 2 days, and that's not for everybody at all. So, is that the high sign?
All right, so
I was
unless
totally distracted there.
oh
Well, number 4.
Four? Let's go to
Is
4.
everybody tired of us already?
well,
yeah.
okay, quickly on 4 because we gotta get wrapped up here soon.
Well, let's skip number 4. We kind of touched on all these.
Yeah,
Really
we
good.
did. We
Well, I
did.
got a really good question
But
for
I'd
you.
say-
I like
but
5.
I
I
would
like
say
5 a lot.
connect camp to make it worth your while, because I know you're a boomer, right? So
Am
I
I
know
a boomer?
I know
That's
people who
offensive.
went to camp. I don't know. I'm Gen X here, the forgotten generation.
I think my boom has boomed long
No,
ago before
I think
boomer.
so many people have had a positive experience that they just assume you should go to camp. You're gonna have
It's
a
gonna be
great
great for
time,
you.
and so we just don't even think about camp. So I think in talking today, there are 3 key takeaways that I would make to make the most out of camp, whether you're a grandparent or a parent.
That was
All
him
right,
singing. I
kid-
don't sing.
Connect camp to Jesus. Yeah, have fun, hang with your friends, but hold on to Jesus. Connect with your church. I do think it's vital to have people that know you, know your tendencies, to be able to be there with you to help guide you, and then connect it to home that you're coming back here. Don't leave it up on the mountain, literally mountain. You're bringing it back to home life, to your community. So that's how to make the best out of camp.
Yeah.
All right, so I got
Question.
one question for you. This is pastor to pastor, okay? So, what advice would you give to a pastor that's on the fence and is a little like doesn't know where to start on maybe getting his youth to maybe go to a camp and what to expect? And I mean, don't do it, or
So-
what would you say?
As you ask that, I'm picturing a pastor, maybe 65 years old,
Okay.
who's been seasoned. The first thing that comes to my mind is you will not be the oldest person there. Don't be afraid to
Oh,
think.
even if you're like 65, you're
Right.
still okay.
I thought that I'm 46, so 3
He's young.
2 years ago, I really thought, dude, I'm gonna be so old. Like all these other youth people are gonna be like in the 20s and 30s. No, I was one of the younger
You're
leaders.
the young oldie.
Seriously. So if you're a pastor, kind of on the fence, don't be afraid of the age thing. You are not too old. So I would do it. Check out some other camps. Maybe visit a camp close. Start small.
Starts falling.
Yeah, like Fuge is like 8 hours away. It takes some work to get there, but there are closer ones. You got the Edge, you got the Wilds.
Yeah, one of the things that I've
Tank's
to
close.
go on that age thing. One of the things that I've noticed in youth up through, frankly, college kids, because I saw this when I was teaching ROTC as well, is that I don't think the kids necessarily expect their leaders to do everything with them. I mean, they certainly like that, right? But it's the fact that you're there that matters, right? So you may not be able to do goalie and stuff that you and I like doing, right? But if you are standing on the sideline cheering, those kids still see you there and they see you engaged in their life, and that has a very big impression on them. So if you, I don't care if you have injuries that keep you from like playing a sport or whatever, it's the participation in an event that the youth look up to.
Gotcha. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So for the pastor or just any adult
Any
thinking about
volunteer
going,
that's thinking about it. Okay.
if they're connected to us around here, I'd recommend looking into going to Fuge. Fuge, the kids are busy the entire day with staff. So a little secret, if you're an adult, you can go play with them. Like I wouldn't play dodgeball. We had 2 youth in that track, and so I went up the hill, played dodgeball, battle ball, whatever you call it, and you can do that, or you can go back to your cabin and take a nap because they're with centrifuge staff. So,
And I think
there's
do they
you
still
don't
do,
have
do
to
they
do
still
every-
do the adult Bible study in the morning
you do
too? when
after
they-
worship while the kids are in Bible study. Adults do Bible study, and then you have 2 hours
Right.
of just chilling. And so, if you struggle, like I couldn't keep up with them, you're fine. You're fine.
All right.
Yeah, the only thing I
Steve-
recommend is don't sign up for the mountain track. You know, you have to go up
The
on a mountain. If you
hiking.
can't do the hiking and you don't like camping overnight, don't overcommit to what you know you can't do. Because we did have that happen a couple years ago where, you know, it was just unfortunate. But I mean, we barely cleared the first level and we were already down an adult. So
Were you able to do it?
really, you're asking me
Oh,
that?
yeah, that's true. That's true. This is Ken.
I would do it if I suffered.
All right.
I went
So,
hiking a couple of years
so-
ago. I got lost in the camp, so I ended up somewhere.
I would not let you see my pain.
all right. So we're going to wrap this up, but I always like to give Ken, you're kind of our guest tonight. So last word. Anything else you throw out there to anybody's watching?
Yeah, I would say for all of the youth and children, you know, staying plugged in a group is important. I mean, it's a way to not only connect, you know, here at the church, but you're going to see them, see your friends, see other people you know in the community, and you'll have a bond. If you have friends and you want to bring them to any of our camps, any of our Sunday things, any of our retreats,
Yeah.
you name it, you bring them. This church will find a way to make sure financially they're going to be able to come. So don't ever let, you know, your question about whether or not they'd be invited and paid for and whatever, we'll make all that work. You know, step out in faith on that. And then,
Can I interrupt you on that?
absolutely,
Keep
you're the pastor.
We
You're
have our church has a business meeting this coming Sunday to vote. One of the things we're doing is voting on the budget. I can tell you, because our youth have tripled over the last year and a half, 2 years, that the budget we asked for a significant jump to invest in our youth to be able to go to camp. We also have retreats in the fall and spring. That's included in the budget as well. This church really does a great job. So as you vote or whatever Sunday night, if you're a member of this church, just remember, you're investing in the next generation.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah, and they participate in everything. I mean, you know, OCC's big with us. I mean, Susan does a great job with that, and we do 3,000 plus boxes. We're a central area, and the youth and children help in all of those things as we're preparing packages. And then for adults, look, you're never too old. You're never out of shape.
Oh, okay.
You're just not. The participation and the activities of your church are important because these are the leaders that we're trying to grow. I mean, we're all going to fade away, and our country needs that next generation of Christian people to fill that gap. And so it starts with us and my peers, my superiors here. You know, we do a great job. It never felt like you can't come out there and just sit on the sidelines on a Sunday and just watch what happens. And if you feel like you want to throw the dodgeball, or if you can't play dodgeball, if the dodgeball is going towards the kids and it's rolling by you, pick it up and throw it to the adults.
Yes, we always.
You can always participate.
Yeah. So if you want to participate in camps, let me know. But if you want to put your talking to the adult here, if you just want to try it out, VBS would be a great way.
Absolutely.
All right.
Just to get in. It's August 7th through 11th.
I mean, okay.
Chris-
So let's say you didn't sign up for a volunteer and they show up, but they didn't give you an advance. Can you find somewhere for them?
Yes. It may
Okay.
not be what they want.
Okay.
Because they all have to go through screening.
Gotcha.
So just
All right.
random person shows up, we're not going to throw you watching kids.
All right. So
So yeah, but you mentioned we have 6th grade on up. I mean, I just met with Christy and Shannon. They're our co-directors this year. Just met yesterday about VBS and who's volunteering. We've got an amazing group. And
Well, I'm excited about it. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it because that's just a strong week. I mean, what are you going to ask me?
What are you doing at VBS?
I don't know.
Does that put you on the spot? Okay. I know we have a youth running sound for music. That's amazing.
My sound?
Yes. Your computer and all
My
that.
computer, my sound.
Yeah, you might. I think we have a job for you now. Christy, sign him up.
She may have already get logged off because it's pretty late. So
Well, we
need
can
to
talk. Whatever you need,
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
no,
But I'm just excited about it because I know in the past it's hard to even explain. The atmosphere is just
It's electric.
it is, and
Boogie.
because we're a small community, the just Smithfield and all. So you see people that don't come to the church, but they bring their kids to them, and unfortunately, I mean that's the only time you really see them. But it brings people together, and heck, we eat good and all.
One thing you just said makes me think of we never see them. One really cool thing that's been kind of shifting started last year and this year, I have a registration list. So we've got a lot of preschool families who are also Awana families.
Awana,
Okay.
I wanted to bring that up. Yep.
We could bring up
Awana too.
a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
Kendra Dubigoski is the one you need to talk to if you want to serve in Awana. But starting to see a lot of like interconnectedness where even people from different churches, like our Awana leaders, come from a lot of different churches.
Yeah, they do.
To make
They
it
do.
happen. It's amazing. So Awana and preschool and VBS and kids ministries are all
Yeah, and
connecting more strongly.
if you're an adult out here and you don't think it matters, all you have to do is see what's going on with these girls that are fighting this whole trans thing in the swimming community and see what's happening otherwise morally in our country. We have to start teaching our kids young because they're not getting those right influences when they go to K-12 in a public school system. And so we've got to be there. We've got to be there at Awanas. We've got to be there Sunday. We've got to be there, at camps. So be there.
All right. Well, hey, we unless you guys
I'm
have
good.
anything else, but I want to wrap this up and say thank you for coming out on this Friday night and kind of a little unorthodox show, not what you guys are usually used to, but I thought it was great. It really shined a light on what I learned a few new things, especially about camp, and I now see how important it is and that it needs to happen, and we need volunteers to go and help out. So with that, I'm going to have Josh take the last word, and then you're going to pray us out, all right?
All right. One correction I need to do to tell leaders: we don't use the word need for volunteers. We invite people to join us.
Wow.
So sorry that I'm coming off pretty harsh there. My goodness.
We
No,
always
it's like-
want volunteers.
Yeah. Yeah. But sorry.
I don't
It's a
even know.
privilege to be in kids ministry and youth ministry.
That's
So,
we don't
so I
need.
just right.
You don't
that's-
need.
Yeah.
So if you're just doing this all by yourself, you still wouldn't need any volunteers?
So God can't work. There's a lot behind this.
It is.
Man, we're going to go that deep into theological, and I have to be at the pool tomorrow morning for our team warms up at 6:30
All
in the
right.
morning. So
Thank you for correcting me.
I get it.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. If
So-
you would like to volunteer, contact me. Contact Kinder for Awana or Shannon or Christy for VBS.
All right.
So yeah. Sorry, that was.
That medicine's not working. Jeez.
I need my dosage.
Yeah, you do. You need to focus.
Okay. Well, let me focus enough to
Pray us
pray.
out.
Okay. God, I thank you for this time where we could just sit down with Ken and Tim and myself and just talk about camp and the way that you use camp in the lives of our teens and of our kids. God, I thank you so much for this church that invests in the next generation, sees the importance of it. But I pray for all the leaders that go, that we'd be able to help connect the kids with Jesus. We'd be able to connect them with people who can help guide them. And God, we just pray for the two that just followed Christ for the first time, trusted in Jesus for the first time. I pray for their growth. And I pray for everybody else who's been to camp this year that they would continue to see you at work. And for God, any adults listening today, watching today, may they get excited about what's happening with our kids and with our youth, whether it's here at the church or in Smithfield or if they live somewhere else. God, may they get involved in the growth of the kingdom, and may your Son be praised through the power of the Spirit. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, guys. Thank y'all, and y'all have a nice night.
Nighty night.